Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we return to Who Wears the Crown, a game where a little pawn makes his way to the top of a tower to claim his royal crown. Inspired by Bennett Foddy's Getting Over It, because if you fail, you fall all the way down. Let's dive in. Alright, last time we played the tutorial, and today we are going to head over to Stacks and choose between famous, influencer, or random games. I actually would like to do this in the future. If anybody wants to send me like a random seed, I would absolutely love to play a user-made level, but today we're going to start with famous games. I hope I'm not made to identify them. I'm not the sharpest at that, but okay, they're labeled. We have Carlsen versus Kasparov first, 2004. And actually, I do recognize this game. I remember watching this, I believe, in Carlsen's 60-minute documentary where he shows up to play with like his little orange juice and whatnot, and just frustrates the heck out of Kasparov, and Carlsen even looks bored. He stands up, walks around the playing hall. It's an amazing little show if you haven't seen it. But anyways, we are now made to play their actual game. I believe this game also ended in a draw, which is why it kind of went down in history. Carlsen was only 13 at the time, and the fact that this game was a draw, I don't know what that says about our odds of actually winning this. That's chess-wise. Platformer-wise, the only way through is really right down the middle, and if you look closely, you'll notice that on the C file and on the F file, there's a whole stack of pieces. So it'll be kind of hard to make our way through that if we have to land on something and not just slide down that big wall of pieces. So I think we should actually try to win this. I feel like last time I played a little bit too platformery, and a lot of you guys said that I can, as a chess player, basically spam checkmates and then use the super boost, or rather super jump, that you get from checkmate to kind of skip through the boards. We get knight to b6. The reason I played the bishop back is because we're under attack, and I also wanted to break this pin. We'll move the other bishop back as well. And just in general in this position, we have two bishops aimed at the king's side. We're controlling the open file. There's an opportunity for a rook lift. I mean, the queen is also looking that way with a battery. Black's pieces are a little bit underdeveloped. The rooks are disconnected, and all in all, there's a lot of symptoms of white should probably hunt down a kingside attack. At the moment, however, we have bishop d6 with queen c7, makes a battery, looks down at h2. So f4 to break up that battery. We get knight to d5, I'm fine to trade. Knight takes back. There's still pressure on this pawn, so I'll go ahead and double down on the defense with g3. We get bishop to h3, taking advantage of our weakened light squares. We'll move the rook up. I have to admit this bot is playing quite well. Finally, we get an in-between move that doesn't do much of anything, king to h8. And let's meet that with bishop to f1, trying to trade the bishops. We get queen to c8, which defends the bishop. We'll take a moment to double up the rooks, and bishop goes back to g4, kicking the rook. I'd love to stay on this open file, so rook to e4 looks tempting. Unfortunately, there's bishop to f5, so I guess I kind of have to just move back. We get bishop to f5 anyways. We'll insist on the trade, and the bishop does in fact move backwards. Let's go ahead and trade off this knight. It's on the side of the board, not really doing anything. We get bishop back to g4, not interested in the trade. So let's punish that with f5, trapping the bishop on g4. We get queen back to c7. There could be ideas of sacking the bishop on g3, although they're probably not concrete ideas. Let's play knight to e4, centralize the knight, defends g3, targets the bishop on d6. We get rook to e8, eyeing the rook on e1, which is defended by the bishop. So I think we're actually totally fine here to take the bishop, take back. Oh, queen to e7 does not take the knight. I will slide back away with my extra free piece. And at this point, we're just looking at converting. We want to trade as many pieces as possible, so we'll offer it wherever we can. Let's play queen to c3. We get rook to e8, allowing the trade, so this is very favorable for us. And our goal basically is to trade off all of these pieces until all that's left is our extra piece, which in this case is the knight, and then capture all of the opponent's pawns and promote. So let's start with f6. We get the rook over, we'll go ahead and take. Knight to f6. We do get another trade, so it looks like the bishop is actually the one that will be left over. We'll target this weak pawn, give check, support the pawn on a4, and it would be really nice to trade rooks here. It's not particularly necessary. We can probably just push this pawn and force it to the other side on its own. Rook to g8 now cuts off the defense of the rook. We trade the last piece, and this is the position we were talking about, right? We can promote now, and it's just our extra piece, all of the pawns, and now a queen as well. We'll give check, and this is just a matter of converting until it's checkmate. Nice, we grab the second queen. We'll set up that nice little ladder's mate, and with that, we mate for game number one. All right, we'll jump up to the top of the board. And for the sake of saying that we read it, this next game is Aronian versus Anand. Now, the issue is that these super jumps aren't stackable, so you can't get like 2 or 3 of them back to back and like use them back to back. So we really don't gain anything from playing this game out, unfortunately. I will take a quick look at the position just for the sake of it. And, oh, actually, this is kind of interesting. It's almost the inverse of the last position. In the last position, we had our bishops pointed at the enemy king. In this position, the opponent does. Queen is in the same situation. The opponent also has an open file, also has the opportunity for a rook lift. And we are also underdeveloped with our rooks disconnected. So I have no qualms about completely skipping over this game. Jump down. Nice, we're up here. Question is, where exactly do we want to land on this next board? Oh, there's a gap. Oh, interesting. Okay, so we have to win this game so that we can super jump up to this one, where we also have to win to super jump up to the next one, or more precisely, when we're on this board, we need to get a checkmate on one of any of these boards. When we're on this board, we also need another checkmate on one of any of these boards, and eventually we can make it up to the crown. So let's head back down to where we were. I do still intend to skip this level, so let's super jump right here, I think is fine. We'll take a moment to do this. Okay, finally we got up there. Let's hit E to activate the super jump, hold space to charge it up, and up we go. Nice. Oh, all the way to the top. Easy peasy. Okay, so we could play this game out. Let's see if there are any other games that we can play. So this is Jinchi versus Loren in 2017, Gelfand and Nakamura in 2010, Fontaine versus Legrave in 07, Firouzja versus Zarkovic in 2019, and then we have Dubov and Giri. As far as the actual positions go, I'm quite happy about playing this one. We're up the exchange, it seems. Yeah, we're up the exchange, and it's a relatively equal position. So let's start by moving the rook off of the long diagonal where the bishop looks. We get king to h7. I like f3 breaking open the center. I'm a little concerned about queen c5 check. So we'll move the king over first. We get knight to g4. We'll boot the knight so there's no idea of pawn to e3. Wow, queen to b4 is just a free knight. Oh wait, never mind. I didn't see bishop takes. So it's not a free knight, but we do get a trade on the board. And again, in my opinion, still favorable since we're up the exchange. A little bit of a silly thing for me to miss. We'll play queen up to g5. We get rook over. We'll take this free pawn. Take with check, and we just can't fall for anything silly like queen to h4, which pins the queen to the king. Let's move the queen down to d8. Queen comes up to c5. That defends the pawn on c7. Rook d7 here is really interesting. Takes with check. King has to move back. We can move another rook onto the open file. We drop the f2 pawn, but there has to be some sort of mating idea there. Maybe has to is a little bit of a stretch. Let's move the king over. We get bishop back, targeting the queen. Let's shuffle our own queen over, target the bishop on e6. Bishop back again. Let's play e3 so there's never an idea of the opponent pushing e3, and then we can double our rooks. Nice. Rook goes over to h6. Now there's no future for this rook by himself. I'm going to move my bishop back with the idea of protecting the back rank. Oh, and I was going to say there are some interesting ideas of sacking the rook on d8, but we get bishop to d6. Well, let's see if the opponent would be interested in going bishop for bishop. Okay, apparently not. I was going to offer the opponent taking, and then I take back, which weakens the f5 square, but we get queen to c3 instead. In which case, let's defend our own bishop with king to g2. The king shuffles over to g7. I'm very tempted to sacrifice here. Let's give it a try. We'll sack on d6, just for the sake of opening up the position. We do have a 2-pawn advantage at the moment, so trading is still in our favor. We get queen back to f6. There are no attacking ideas, so I can be looking for trades here. Not to mention, rook to d8 here is quite satisfactory. We get rook back to h7. What happens if I just threaten the bishop on e6 again? Oh goodness, bishop back. If I take, my opponent takes back, f5 drops, and that has to be much better for us. Oh wow, that is an incredible skewer. Luckily we have this. Little check, king comes up to f6. Trade? Oh, and the opponent does take the rook. Holy smokes, I'm getting sauced on by a 1300 level stockfish. I still think we're winning, which is the craziest part. We'll target this pawn on e4. Let's start pushing these pawns with the idea of eventually promoting. Go ahead and take. Move this bishop over. It's a little bit better placed on b5 where it protects both of these pawns. We'll play f3. Move the bishop back. We'll take back. And this should be winnable against this specific level of engine. We'll push forward. Nice. It looks promising. Okay, so far so good. We're just going to try to overwhelm the engine here in just a moment. And we have done so successfully. Nice. Okay, that was a very, very close call when it didn't have to be. We'll play check. We'll just use knight method for this. Keep the queen a knight's distance away from the king. And this should be a totally forcing win. Nice, we go down. And we do, in fact, checkmate the opponent. Okay, now that we have a super jump, we can go back down and follow our pawn. We'll get him to jump up to this position. So we'll press E and supercharge the jump. Up we go, past all of those positions. And now we actually need another super jump here. I wonder if we can win this position. It's a little bit of an interesting one. We have a promoting pawn, but the problem is we're down a rook and a piece. So it's really not an ideal position from which to play. Let's start with this promotion anyways. It's clearly the best move. We'll go ahead and take back. Queen goes back to e6. We can probably just offer this trade. Queen does take, we'll go ahead and take back, and the king comes up to f7, so we'll capture this pawn on b6. Okay, now with this bishop on d6, is there any way for us to get up to here? We'll hold down. Nice, there is. Okay, so the reason that's important is that if we're on this bishop, then we just need another checkmate, and we can platform up to this board. So I want to play one of these two boards and try to win. Question is, which one looks better? Okay, almost definitely the one on top is better, Dubov versus Giri, because even though both kings are super exposed, in this position we are literally just down a rook with no compensation. We have 3 minor pieces, the opponent does as well. We have a queen and a rook, the opponent does as well, and they have an extra rook, which is not particularly fun to play. So I'm thinking we start in this position and find a way to get mate. The issue is though, if I super jump up to this position, I'm going to have to win this board anyways, unless maybe I can play one of these boards further down. Oh, can I not go further back? Oh, that's a little bit annoying. Okay, fair enough. So we have to win both of these anyways. So let's go ahead and start with the worst of the two, which is this one, since we are down a rook. Question is, how on earth do we demonstrate compensation for that huge material loss? Okay, let's go ahead and start with bishop takes d5, targeting the knight. Bishop moves out of the way, threatens the rook. We can play c3 to boot it. Bishop does move back. We can take on b7, which is good. Now we'll just be down the exchange. Rook comes up to a7, boots the bishop. I kind of want to keep the queens on the board, so I'm going to play queen to f3 and just defend the bishop with my queen. Bishop goes back to c7, targeting e5. There have to be kingside attacking ideas here. Like knight to h6 here is pretty interesting. If the pawn takes, I take back with the bishop. Rook shuffles over, there's check, and unstoppable mate on g7. Now on the other hand, if I do play this check and the king just shuffles out of the way, take with check on f7, the king shuffles back. I can take this queen, but I drop my own. So let's play queen to g4 first. No, queen g4 first drops this bishop. Opponent takes, check, over, and I haven't accomplished much in that position. Oh, interesting. There's also just bishop to e3 here. Forces bishop to b6, otherwise the rook is trapped, and the opponent seems to just let us win the rook. We get rook takes e5. Again, now I'm up material, so I'm happy to trade. We are up a piece, which is insane that we've come up a piece from being down a rook. We'll offer this trade. Nice, I'm more than happy. Pawn comes up to g6, and again, this is just looking for trades until we can eventually have all the pawns on the board, plus our extra piece, which in this case is the bishop. So let's look for some trades. Nice, we get the queens traded. We get pawn up to h6. Let's see if we can get knight takes as well. Okay, we grab the free pawn instead. I mean, I'm happy with that. Want to take my bishop? Thank you very much. And now we've gotten to that position I was talking about. It's just the pawns and our extra piece. Well, don't mind if I do. Push these pawns. Somebody has to mate. If I promote, is that stalemate? No, king back to g6 is possible. Nice, the king does move back. Let's play check. Check. And we can just push the other piece again. Nice, there has to be mate here in just a couple of moves. And with that, we get our second mate. All right, let's go find where our pawn is. Right here, patiently waiting to get promoted. We'll hold down E, or rather press E and hold down space. Release. You've got to be kidding me. Oh my goodness. Oh, I should have, you know, I was even thinking maybe I should jump onto the king so I can make it up here. Oh, that's so bad. Okay, well, let's try to get mate one more time, and if we can mate in this position, then it actually does work out because we can just jump all the way to the top and get to the crown. So all hope is not lost, but that's purely luck. Okay, Dubov versus Giri, 2019. We are the white pieces. Our king is very exposed in this position. My first thought is something like knight to e5, target f7, which is mate. If the opponent defends, we have something like rook to g3, rook g7, which is also mate. My only concern would be queen to a2 check. And I can either move the king back, check, move the king up, check again. No, the queen covers that square. Check again with the queen, and I'd have to kind of repeat moves there. Or I can move the king up to f3, but that blocks my rook. Honestly, either of those are fine with me because I still think I'd be better. Okay, we do get queen to a2 check. Let's move up to f3. It just seems like the more sound way to play this. And we do get rook to f8 covering that square. Okay, I would move my king again to clear a way for the rook to go to g3 again with that mating idea on g7, but I don't want to hang any pawns. So I think it makes more sense to bring the queen back, looking for queen to g4. Oh wow, bishop to a5? Is queen g4, queen g7 not just mate? Sweet. Okay, this time, let's actually line up that jump as intended. Okay, I'm gonna jump over this way, so if I do fall, I can at least fall onto this pawn. Nice. Okay, and this should, I hope it is, should be enough. So, let's hit E, supercharge that jump, release, and it's just barely enough to make it up to that queen. Okay, now we have this boring climb, but thank goodness that we do have this climb at all, because that was almost the end of the run right there. We make it all the way up to the top, and with that, we do complete the famous level. If you guys did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Let me know down below what other levels I should complete, and if you have any seed levels that I should enter, let me know down below, leave them in the comments. I will see you guys in the next one.